Dean of Ghana Christian International High School. I will encourage you guys to subscribe to this club. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hello there, you're welcome to His Gov TV. Should in case today is your first time of joining our channel, this is a channel we are dedicated to the teaching of history, CRS, government, English language, social studies as well. And so if you are interested, I would entreat you to subscribe to our channel. Of course, thank you very much. So today we are looking at the Trans-Saharan trade, and specifically we are going to look at the organization of the Trans-Saharan trade, how the Trans-Saharan trade, or how the Berbers organize the trade, the nature of the trade, and that is what basically we are going to be looking at today. It's going to be a very short lesson. However, this lesson was requested. I have already done this like 2 years ago, but I think during that time I wasn't using, the video wasn't that standard. If I may put it in that way. So one of our subscribers requested that I do a PDF format of that video if it is possible for him. And I don't know if the PDF format he's talking about, I'm sure that he was maybe referring to the clarity of the previous video. So I decided to do this for him. He's in the person of Fatoba Olumide. For Fatoba Olumide, I'm sure I got the name correct. And so yes, so if this is what you were requesting for, then of course let me hear you for Fatoba in the comment section. Good. So we will be looking at the organization of the trade, and this is a continuation of the Trans-Saharan trade. We have done the origin of the trade. We have done some of the articles or items in the trade. We have also looked at the trade route in the Trans-Saharan trade and other discussions surrounding the Trans-Saharan trade, especially the problems that they faced, the traders faced, the effect of the trade even on the Western Sudanese Empire. So I guess we have done quite a lot around the Trans-Saharan trade. And I also have a documentary video of the Trans-Saharan trade. I'll include a link in the description. You can only go in there and watch so that you can get a pictorial, view of some of the things that we'll be talking about in here. So let's begin with the discussion. So our lesson objectives for today is simple. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe how the Trans-Saharan trade was organized by the Berbers. So how were the Berbers organizing the Trans-Saharan trade, the nature of the trade? You could be asked to describe that, and I guess by the end of this discussion, you are going to be able to do that. So let's begin with the organization. Earlier on, like I have indicated, we have talked about the trade in length. So I presume that by now you know what the Trans-Saharan trade was about. If you don't know, you check in the playlist SHS or year 10 videos. I have it in there. You can check for yourself. So the first thing that you must say or you must talk about when you want to talk about the organization of the Trans-Saharan trade was the fact that which people were involved in the trade. Okay, and so we are saying that the Trans-Saharan trade was organized by the Berbers, the Arabs, and also the Negroes of West African Sudan. So the Arabs were in North Africa, and then the Negroes were also in West Africa, the Sudanese area. So the Trans-Saharan trade engaged three main people. So three main people were involved in the Trans-Saharan trade. One were the Berbers, and you recall that we said the Berbers were the middlemen in the trade. Now the Arabs of North Africa, the Arabs, who had come from Syria and co to stay in North Africa, the Arabs were also there. And then the Negroes of Western Sudan. When we say a Negro, who is a Negro? Normally they say nigger. Now they refer to it as nigger. A Negro is somebody. It looks like a black person. You let me generalize that to be a black person. You understand? But termly, they say that a Negro is somebody with a bent face. The Europeans felt that the Western Sudanese people that they came to meet had bent faces. That is why they had that black skin or black faces. And so, very often, the term Negro is a very derogatory remarks, which often I don't want to go deep in there. But bear in mind that a Negro is primarily just a black person. And so the trade, three group of people were involved in the trade, and they were the Negroes of West African Sudan, the Arabs of North Africa, as well as the Berbers. Now, the next thing is that you need to also talk about the people who finance the trade, okay, and it was financed mostly by the rich Berber merchants. So the rich Berber merchants were the ones who financed the trade, who were actually involved in the buying, okay, and selling of the goods, of the trade items that we talked about in our previous lessons. Now, these rich Berber merchants of North Africa, they will normally hire young people, okay, to take the goods to their agents in the Western Sudan area. Okay, so the middleman role again by the Berbers. So some of the Berbers were actually hired. Some of these young people were the Berbers. So some of them were hired to take the goods to their agents in the Western Sudan area. And then the items of trade involved in the Trans-Saharan trade. So these were the items. The trade was between two regions, North Africa and the Western Sudan. So let's look at some of the items of trade that came from North Africa. An example of such items of trade was salt, beads, Islamic books, and etc., dates and co. Now, these items were exchanged for items from Western Sudanese area. So some of the items that came from the Western Sudan area was gold, slaves, kola nut, ostrich feathers, hides, and skin. So the Western Sudanese on the other side will bring these items, okay, for exchange. And then the North Africans would also come with these items, salt to Islamic books, etc., for exchange, okay, in the course of the trade. Now, initially, barter system was practiced. So barter system, what do we mean by a barter system? A barter trade system was, a kind of system whereby it did not involve the use of currency. So what happened was that when you have, for instance, you have a pen, you have more pens, but you don't have a book to write in. And then I also have a book, but I don't have pens to write in the book. So what happens is that then we exchange. Okay, so in simple terms, all what I'm trying to say is that the barter system was a situation whereby your needs, so what you need, you exchange it with somebody. So for instance, I have salt, you also need gold or kola nut. So you give me your salt, then I also give you my kola nut. And that is how the barter trade system was like. It did not involve the use of currency. But since we have initially there, which means that at a point in time, the Western Sudanese later began to employ the use of currency in the trade. But then initially, it was a barter trade system whereby goods were exchanged. Okay, commodities were exchanged directly based on the needs of the consumers or the customers. Now, The Berbers traders initially came to Western Sudan in singles, but later they came in caravans or groups. So initially, at the beginning of the trade, the Western Sudanese, um, the Berber traders who came from North Africa, they came in singles as an individual, so one person will come from North Africa to the Western Sudanese area to exchange goods or commodities. And I'm pretty sure that because of the abundance of gold and kola nut and slaves and coal in the Western Sudanese area, those Berbers who came to the Western Sudan to trade with them and later returned back to North Africa, well, of course, they went there to showcase some of the items that they got from the Western Sudan. And I'm pretty sure that that encouraged or attracted a lot of these Berbers to also come down to the Western Sudan area to trade with the Western Sudanese. And so initially they were coming in singles, but later they came in caravans. And so when we talk about caravans, we mean you know, very often you will see camels, a group of people with camels moving or coming, all right? And like I said, I have a video, a short documentary on how or the nature of this trade. So I have the link. I'll insert the link in the description. So kindly click on it so that you can get a picture of what I'm trying to paint. All right, good, and even images of all the items of trade that were involved in the Trans-Saharan trade. And so, basically, this is how the trade was organized at this point. So let's continue and look at more of the organization of the trade. So a portage was also the initial means of carrying goods, but later camels were introduced. So the portage was like people carry the goods on their head, all right, through the desert to the Western Sudanese area, and that is really was very very hectic. I'm sure it will be very very hectic for the Western Sudanese people, all right, for you to carry goods from North Africa all the way to the uh, to the Western Sudan would really be a very big challenge. Okay, so yeah, that was that. But later, with the introduction of camels, when you recall some of the lessons that we did on the reasons for the rise of the Trans-Saharan trade, one of that reason for the rise of the trade was the introduction of camels to the North Africans by the Arabs. And so we realized that with the introduction of these camels, they came to spearhead the nature and organization of the trade, because these camels could carry heavy loads, unlike, the portage whereby people could not carry heavy loads, as compared to the camel. The camel is quite very strong. And like I said in the documentary that I did, I did got a video of a camel carrying very heavy loads. So go click in the link and watch. So a camel could also travel long distance, okay, without water or food. And on the desert, water and food are very scarce. And so with the introduction of the camel, we realized that the Trans-Saharan trade was really, it really flourished with these camels because of these special qualities of the camel that I have talked about. And so that was also, camels were used to carry the goods in the Trans-Saharan trade, and you should talk about that when you are talking about the organization of the Trans-Saharan trade. Again, the traders used three major routes for their activities, and one of them was the eastern route, the central route, and then the western route. So it depended on where you were or where you stayed, because the trade was conducted across. The people who were involved in the trade were across North Africa. They were not in one country in North Africa. So depending on the area where you live, would determine the kind of trade route that you were going to take. And so, for instance, the eastern route started from Egypt to Kanembunu in the Hausa land. Okay, and so if you were in Egypt and you wanted to trade with the Western Sudan in the Trans-Saharan trade, you were to take the eastern route. Okay, now the central route on the other side started from Tunis and then Tripoli, and then it ended in Timbuktu in ancient Mali. Okay, which means that if you found yourself in Tunisia, in Tripoli, of course, present day capital town of Libya, then you must take the central route. Then the western route also started from Morocco and Algeria, and then it went to Aouda Host in Ghana. And don't forget that Aouda Host was a very important, or it was famous for commercial trade. Okay, so it was very famous for trade. And so I don't think that a trader who is in Morocco would want to take the eastern route, whereby he'll go and start from Egypt. All right, good. So, and that is why I said that depending on where you lived within the North African countries, that will determine which of the routes you were going to take. Okay, so your country of residence was going to determine where you would start your journey from, either the western, eastern, or the central trade route. Now, another important thing about the organization of the trade was that the caravans left North Africa yearly between September and October. Okay, and they did return at the beginning of the rainy season, somewhere in April and May. Now, the reason why the Western Sudanese people, or the traders, sorry, the North African traders left North Africa between September and October was quite simple. Remember, in one of our discussions, we said that one problem that the Western Sudanese faced, or the traders, the North African traders, they faced was that of sandstorm, all right, on the desert. And you know, the sandstorms normally occurs during the rainy season. So in order to avoid the sandstorm, they would rather travel or begin their journey from North Africa to the Western Sudan between September and October. And we are aware that if not climate change, during these time frames, the rain season has stopped. We are almost entering into, or we are even in the dry season. All right, and then they returned at the beginning of the rainy season, somewhere in April and May. So if you go in September and October, you are likely to come back then the following year in April or May, which then suggests that the traders embarked on the trip once in a year. And that explains why we have here, they left North Africa yearly. It means that you cannot move from North Africa to the Western Sudan twice within a year. You can't go to Western Sudan within a year. All right. And so they had to go once in a year. That is yearly. All right. Good. Then the last one, if not, the traders also hired the Tuaregs as guides. So they can also ask you in the objective questions that what were the role of the Tuaregs. Now, what was the role of the Tuaregs? Now, the Tuaregs were normally guides. They served as guides to the North African traders. At a point, some of these Tuaregs were even attacking or raiding these traders. Okay, but so in order to prevent or stop that, some of the rich Berber merchants also employ the work of these, the services of these Tuaregs to protect them against other Tuaregs who may try to attack them. So the main role of the Tuaregs in the Trans-Saharan trade was to serve as guides. And so most of these traders employ the services of these Tuaregs to guide them through their journey on the desert. Good. So I think we have come to the end of our discussions for today. I presume that you have been educated. If you have any question or any comment, you can please comment or write in the comment section or type in the comment section for us. So let's try our hands on these works. These questions are they are WASI May, June 2018. So WASI 2018, barely 4 years ago, they asked the question, outline the 5 ways by which the Trans-Saharan trade was organized. And I think we have had more than the 5 ways, and you will be able to explain them as I have done so. And also, how was the Trans-Saharan trade organized? This was also an object question which was asked in 2002. All the best when you come across any question on the Trans-Saharan trade. So let me hear your comment. Fatoba Olumide, of course, let me hear your comment too, so that I will know that if I have done what you requested for